didn't get the countdown. That's even better.
I watched it.
We're off to a great start.
Welcome back, Bi-Conic wrestling fans. You might notice here that Mikey and JVL are here, and we're joined by an amazing new addition to our group here. Jesse, say hello to everyone on the internet.
Hello, everyone on the internet. Sorry for the 10-second delay of start.
Oh, thanks. He's already calling me out for all the technical issues.
I'm apologizing on your behalf.
You shouldn't do that. Never again. We are back here again, the three of us, to go over ROH from this week, which was coming from Cleveland, Ohio, I believe is what they said on commentary, but it definitely was Cincinnati, where they had recorded before. So I'm actually really excited you got to see this, because you've never watched ROH regularly. You don't know a lot about ROH, but you are game to kind of come into this, and this was one of the longer episodes we've ever seen. Right, Mikey?
Listen, last week was great. I thought, perfect timing. Like, we got a bunch of matches, but it didn't take so long. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're trying out new stuff. I look at the times, stamp for this particular episode. I'm like, looked at my clock. I'm like, I'm gonna be up all night, aren't I? Damn it.
See, my background with ROH comes from, honestly, a lot of like bootleg DVDs from the mid and early 2000s with, when he was Chick Magnet Punk with the bleach blonde hair that just still looks terrible to this day. So that's a lot of mine. And then I started looking at it. I was like, oh, hour and 10 minutes, I can do that. And then I was like, hey, I've got nothing to do at work today right now that's going to get me in trouble. So let me watch it. Oh, an hour and 46 minutes. All right, then. Looks like we're in for it.
And luckily, we're not going to mention who you work for so that you don't get in trouble for watching this on the clock. But, Mikey, Jesse, this was, at least to me, kind of a middling ROH card. It wasn't the best I've ever seen, but it wasn't terrible. I would like to go to you first, Jesse. Coming in as your first one you've watched for a purpose and then kind of dissected, how did you feel diving into each of this? Was this something you enjoyed?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good card. There was definitely some, I'll be nice and kind here and say interesting moments that I didn't think really fit. But again, I'm not coming from much background on it. I don't know any ongoing stories that are going on. And to me, it had some good substance in matches, but there wasn't really a whole lot of storytelling going on. But again, I don't know if that's just the Ring of Honor style.
Mikey, care to fill him in and how you felt about it as well?
So I will say... Well, here's the thing. So we got a lot of our big names back. Well, we got a lot of the bigger names back, but then also we got noticed that, oh, by the way, certain people aren't going to be here for the next 2 weeks. And I may or may not have cried with that announcement of your Ring of Honor Women's Champion not going to be there for the next 2 weeks.
I know where that came from.
But honestly, she has been carrying Ring of Honor on her back where Claudio has failed. And yes, I'm still bitter that Claudio is the champion at this point.
Not for much longer, hopefully. But Jesse, just to fill you in, Athena is the women's champion for ROH, who used to be Ember Moon in WWE.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, was she on the show? No, they did a clip of her for 10 seconds.
Yeah, they caught us up on Billy Starks, who is her tag team partner at this point as Minion 400,000 something
in training.
Yes, MIT or MIT. But we're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead here. Good to know. We had a good time with this so far. We're going to jump right into the first match. We started off with a match that, honestly, I think all of us knew the outcome of going into it, because obviously they weren't going to ruin the match they've set up at Grand Slam. And they had Claudio Castagnoli versus Rocky Romero for the ROH Championship. Boys, tell me what you thought about this. And, I mean, did you actually think Rocky had a chance?
I enjoyed the match. I thought immediately Rocky Romero did not have a chance because they're not going to, spoil something they've been pushing and building for so long. I thought it was a pretty good showing. I always like the 12 count swing. It's always a good time to watch that one. That European uppercut that Claudio hit at the end was just absolutely brutal, and it was really, kind of devastating, and that was a good way to close that match out. But the thing that definitely distracted me for a moment was they're talking about Rocky Romero, the announcers, and one of them said, oh, he's been around since 2004. Well, he looks really, really good for wrestling right now if he's been wrestling this level since 2004.
Definitely. Mikey, how about you?
So first and foremost, I never complain when I get to see Rocky Romero on my screen. I'm a big fan of his.
That's bullshit. That's utter bullshit.
Why we hating?
I'm not hating. I'm just saying I've heard you complain about Rocky Romero being on there when you want somebody else bigger to take it on. Like, why is he filling in for, Chucky D with Trent Beretta in Best Friends for some reason when you want Roppongi Vice?
Listen, Rocky Romero is also in a position where he is technically a backstage hand, but he is also here to beat up the talent like Christopher Daniels, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, we
But
will.
I love seeing Rocky on my television screen. I think he is a great wrestler. I had to rewatch it twice. I'm like, is he wearing a crop top? What is happening?
Yes.
Not to mention that now he has Azúcar as part of his moniker. I'm like, when did this happen?
Well, he's so sweet.
Sure, why not? No, but
yeah.
Rocky Romero is very technically sound. His styling of wrestling works really good with Claudio. Again, they've wrestled each other, whether it be the independents. Rocky has been a staple of New Japan for a hot minute. Again, it makes me sad.
It funny. It makes you sad. I know it made you sad. There was no way this is going to be anything there. I found it funny that they kind of played up Rocky's lucha roots, and in that way, it was very high-flying offense. The corkscrew sliced bread, the other kind of like taking the lower drop kicks to take Claudio's legs out were great. My thing that I loved especially, though, is that you have all this set up as it's a BCC versus a luchador again, and Claudio can't even get the Moxley spot right. He starts to bleed, but not really from his nose. Like, if you didn't notice, there was a red spot, like a rug burn, but it wasn't like blood, and he wasn't trying to rip a mask off. He had no idea what to do with a luchador because he's been trained to rip a mask off and then make himself Blade from Moxley. So it was very strange to me to watch that at all. But this went a lot longer than I thought it would have. This was a very long match to open the show with.
Again,
I might be digging too much into this here, but the spot that I actually really enjoyed was at the beginning of the match when Claudio had that hammerlock in that seemed like it went for a while. But if you watched, he was really legitimizing it. He was, showing his technical prowess, backing his leg out as Rocky was trying to grab underneath and swing him around. So it really kind of played up the size difference between the two of them.
Indeed. You'll see with ROH also that the mat wrestling is so sound there. There's a lot of great technical wrestling that goes on that still fits into this kind of over-the-top, high-flying, brute force, everything else. They really do focus on showcasing what wrestling can be, as you may have seen later in the night with people like Josh Woods and the Pure Champion and all that stuff, which is really great there. Any other thoughts on this match before we move on?
Justice for my boy Rocky.
Yeah.
So that's what, 6 stars from you, Mikey?
18 stars.
No, I enjoyed this as an opener. Of course, as a forever Rocky Romero fan, it hurt me knowing that he wasn't going to win. But again, the in-ring work is phenomenal. That flying knee towards the end, Jesus. I was like,
oh my God. Yeah.
Listen, I love me some good hard-hitting matches. Anytime I get a knee strike or an enziguri, which is one of my favorite moves ever right now, you'll always get it.
Now. Just right now. The enziguri now. Like, there hasn't been good enziguris in history at all. It's now is the time of the enziguri.
And of course, it is Ring of Honor related, but I swear to God, if Eddie doesn't become Ring of Honor champion by the end of Wednesday night, I may cry and never come back and leave. I will leave.
I'm so sick of Claudio not being used on the show. It needs to be Eddie who actually wants to be there and have fun.
And please, it also makes me sad. Don't give Claudio the New Japan Strong Championship.
No, he doesn't deserve that at all.
No.
It's his title for title at Grand Slam. It's going to be insane.
Right.
Now, we do move on to a 3-man tag match, which I had a lot of fun with. The Outriders and Kevin Koo versus the Infantry and my boy who's back, Willie Mack. Oh, my God.
Outriders or Outrunners?
Outrunners. I say Outrider, which is the ship from Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. I'm fully wrong on that, so it is the Outrunners. You are completely correct. I can't read my
we got a Star Wars reference in here, too.
We do, which I'll have to cut for reasons that Disney won't sue us. Anyway, this was, to me, I always love seeing comedy wrestling done well, especially when they don't negate the premise at all. This was comedy wrestling through and through, all the way through.
You see, I have to take a sigh after that because there was already some moments of silliness, and even in this very strange world of professional wrestling that we love, sometimes it was even too silly for me. The first one that I noticed was the Infantry, their entrance, where they're pretending to shoot guns. They look like 7-year-olds. I don't think that's a very good look.
Are they any different than Batista with his giant gun that he used to do?
Yeah, because at least he gets the explosions off behind him. and they were in sync with it. No, it just looked like he was waving around a toy gun that wasn't actually there. It looked like that cut they made where they replace the guns with radios or something like that. That just makes it look really silly. So didn't love that, but I did really like the match. This is my first experience watching Willie Mack, and that he was just really, really impressive.
Willie Mack is one of the smoothest big men that you will see nowadays, who has every acumen to be a high flyer, but can use his power behind it at the same time. I was saying, like, I wrote down this, I would love to see coming out of this, I need a triple threat match between him, Shane Taylor, and El Gringo Loco. The three of them in a triple threat, be just like very agile Bam Bam Bigelow type big men who can really fly around the ring.
Give me a fatal 4-way and throw Keith Lee in there.
Ooh, I don't know if Keith Lee would deign bring himself down, but that would be amazing.
Like, I would enjoy to say, I was so impressed watching. Like, he had the Flying Wizard and then the Running Hurricane Rana right after each other, and I was out of breath watching that. Like, wow. What else?
What about you, Mikey? What about you?
Listen, anytime you get Willie Mack in the ring is always going to be a positive for me. Like you said, JVL, just one of the smoothest big guys out there right now. And you know what? What makes it even better is Willie Mack knows how to, regardless of the situation that he finds himself in, you can get him to be serious, but he's also really, really good as in these comedy spot matches.
He really is. And all of them had amazing chemistry in this too. They really worked well together off each other. The triple like finisher there from the stunner into the double team was pulled off perfectly, and they have the right energy for each other. And even with the outrunners, who are literally just a throwback to 80s wrestling and just want to do a pose down.
That was the first thing I noticed. Is like, oh my god, it's like early 90s, late 80s Sting and Rick Rude. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Pretty much, but with the Hunter Hearst Helmsley tape on the fingers. I want to see a pose down between them and Iron Savages just for the hell of it. Just to see, just like not a match, a pose down.
Listen,
the one thing I want to know that made me laugh right out loud was when I think Willie Mack got the hot tag and they did the super flapjack bulldog. Completely missed the flapjack. He just went flying right over. Like,
yes,
no contact.
It was a Chris Jericho-esque bulldog where you barely touch the person
like,
and they go right down.
Turn a bulldog into a flying nothing. I'm impressed by that.
It's all in the infantry.
I love the infantry too.
This was an enjoyable match, I think, overall. I really did like the change of pace coming from the Claudio match, which was more serious.
Yeah.
And it allows you to see that, you can have sports entertainment in this type of technical arena, because the Outrunners now have been on, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. I think they're getting signed soon, which is just, you have characters in the tag development, which is so much more fun to watch.
It was a fun match. I think the kind of the unsung spot in that match is when what was his name? Who does the Bravo? When he went to do the crossover punch that he does in the corner, and he just went "gotcha" real loud, and he looked the wrong way, and then just decked him. That was just definitely an unsung moment in that match.
It's one of his good moves there. Mikey, I know that you just always love to take the time to like enjoy Willie Mack when he's in there, but do you think that like this could be a pairing to go up against Mogul Embassy or anybody else with the infantry Willie Mack?
Honestly, I will take any trio that is not Action Andretti and that whole squad that we have gotten
Darius
for
Martin,
and Lee Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, they split them up on this one. They were all split up on this show.
This was weird. I also am mourning the loss of a certain tag team when we'll get to it later.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But yes, overall, really good match there. And then we get one of our promos of the night, which Mike and I agree. Renee Paquette is one of the best interviews in the world in AEW. She's the best in the business. Lexi on ROH is amazing at furthering everything really easily and making people feel really good being next to her. Like between the stuff with Athena and everything else, she's also a really good interview because she's not pretentious about it or trying to be a character like Alex Marvez. She's very much invested in what's going on.
It's very natural in her mannerisms and how she talks to everybody. I really enjoyed the moments with her.
And this is one of the most serious ones she did, because this is Ethan Page saying why he's back in ROH, which was amazing to hear. I was happy to see him.
Listen, Ring of Honor used my man Ethan Page because he's not doing anything on Dynamite.
Pretty much, he's spinning his wheels.
So let Ethan come down.
A little canned, a little scripted, but also very genuine at the same time from Mr. All Ego. So that was nice to see.
It set up the match later in the night as well very easily because you could root for him finally because he's been such a heel for so long. It's great to see him be like, I'm seriously trying to turn a page here. I want to show why I should be here. It sounded also to me a little Sean Spears, a little Ty Dillinger-esque, where he's got that acumen, but he's got no real push as a character. Now he's got to show why you need to cheer for him. This was perfect. So Mikey,
I love Ethan Page, but what I love even more is the next match we got, because the Boricua badass is in the building.
I was going to say, one of your ultimate favorites, Mercedes Martinez, comes down against Zoe Lynn, jobber to the stars, who got a lot more offense in than I thought. Mercedes was brutal in this one. What are you laughing at?
No, see, this is where my naivety in Ring of Honor comes in, because the notes I had made were like, she had a little bit of a fury, but this just felt like an extended squash match. A little bit of a flurry,
which it was. You actually picked it up. This was an extended squash match.
It was a little disappointing in that regard.
You get a lot of them in ROH sometimes because they actually want to showcase the wrestlers.
I noticed looking at my notes on the card.
Oh, did you now?
Yes.
See, normally I never like a squash match, especially if you get weeks after weeks of it. But again, given the fact that Mercedes is kind of getting a spotlight both here on Ring of Honor and over on Collision too, since she's in that feud with her, Diamante, Willow, and
Athena.
Athena. Listen, it's like, I love Mercedes Martinez because she's been gone for almost like 7-8 months after she dropped the title, and
right.
she's been out on injury and then rehabbing, and then finally they bring her back. This is exactly what you need to put the Ring of Honor women's division on notice, especially with a veteran like Mercedes, who has been doing this for 20 plus years.
Yeah, she is extremely experienced. She's been coaching as well. And you can tell that from how what she used here. There was very little wasted movement except when she wanted it to be. She was definitely showing off the crowd a bit with her bows, with her like brushing herself off. The stalling brainbuster is always fun to watch because it looks like a suplex till right at the end when she finally drops them on their shoulders and head. It's great to watch her there. But what did you pick up? Because you haven't seen a lot of her before.
Well, I have to disagree with you, and I don't do it very often. But I feel like the stalling suplex, and maybe that's a normal spot for her, it was too long. It sounded like the crowd started to go a little flat, like they lost interest, and I started losing interest. I'm like, how much longer are we going to put her up there on that?
I feel like she's not as bad as Bobby Lashley in that, though, where you see why Bobby Lashley's holding him up there for almost like 12 minutes. So
yeah, but he'll walk around and you try and engage the crowd with it. Like he'll bring his hand up and start, calling for it, and she just stands there, which maybe that's her spot. Maybe that's how she can do it the most, the safest way, which is great. But it felt a little too long for me.
Interesting.
I thought it was really funny when was it Zoe immediately fell down doing the arm. She was going for the arm drag and just Mercedes just stopped and she just flopped on the ground. That was funny.
That was a good nope spot.
But I will say the Brass City Sleeper will always look cool. That will always look good.
God, that move is so great.
For a fan of a Dragon Sleeper, when you add that bit in, that's almost like a surfboard. It's just like, holy cow! How do you bend like that?
Mercedes is my girl. I love it. I love this match. Even if it was a squash match, I just need Ring of Honor to put her more on my television screen. I won't complain, I promise.
Well, speaking of squash matches, shall we move on to the next one?
The next comedy match where you have Gates of Agony squash Matt Brannigan and Cole Riddick.
God.
Cole Riddick is the new, like, basically, he looked like he was I said he was as if Dalton Castle had shaved off part of his leg and given it to somebody else, and then also had been part of like the Vaudevillains in NXT.
I checked the times. The entrances for the Gates of Agony was longer than the actual match itself.
This was a full squash.
Although the high-pitched scream when he got blasted into the barricade was hilarious. Like, absolutely hilarious.
Did they say like it was an industrial-sized like barricade too? Like that isn't just easy. No, that may have been a later match. I'm looking at that. I loved that whole thing where he tried to back them off. But also, I have a question. And this is an honest question. I'm not doing this just for comedic effect. Cole Riddick was slammed face down onto his partner and then sat on by Toa. Didn't Cole Riddick win the match? Because he was the one pinning?
Yeah, but he also lost because his team got pinned.
He still gets a win.
And a loss.
So tag team, he's not doing well.
So it's a draw. We have a squash draw.
We have a squaw.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Why?
He literally got sandwiched. That is exactly what happened. He lost and he won.
He got hoagied. Those are two big boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Listen, just random side note. The Mogul Embassy entrance is always one of my personal favorites. JBL
Because
has
of Prince Nana.
Yes, like Prince Nana makes it better. I was like, I don't care. This match could be garbage, but that entrance is one of my highlights every time. Prince Nana is living his best life.
There's very few situations where I don't want Prince Nana involved.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, look at what happened on Dynamite with him getting super kicked in the head after dancing for an hour.
God.
Oh
Prince
my God.
Nana's a gem, and I love it.
But this was a quick squash. Gates of Agony win very easily. They blow up Cole Riddick. I want to see more of Cole Riddick because he's actually funny to watch. I'd like to see him get squashed by multiple people now. Just continuously losing and losing and losing.
You give him the Mikey Whipwreck storyline?
That of the Kurt Hawkins, yeah, where he's on a losing streak, that type of thing? Definitely.
How did you make the more relevant reference?
Age-wise. I watch more of this.
Okay.
What Jesse's alluding to is I'm old, as we all know from watching this channel.
It was an inference.
An inference? You said it out loud, basically. The more relevant reference.
Yes, I didn't say you're old. Now I'll say it. You're old.
Thank you so much.
I mean, he said it, not me.
Yeah, you've said it enough too. I'm being attacked on 3 sides because I also hate myself. Anyway, Athena is up next with Billy Starks in a kind of pre-tape pre-roll we get to watch where Lexi brings up what has to be done. And then we get Billy coming out to a list of tasks that she's got to get done because it's her minion tasks with a new shirt and everything. I am in love with this storyline. They are doing such good things because Billy Starks, for what you may not know, she is a prodigy in this wrestling business. She's barely, 20 or 18? She's, Mikey, I don't remember exactly.
I want to say she is probably somewhere around 19 or 20 years old.
Wrestling all over the world, kicking ass everywhere.
I want to say she's either 18 or... I think she's 18 or 19 because she just graduated high school.
Exactly. So she's second-gen wrestler, been doing this since she was 16. And she comes into ROH and gets picked up by the champion to be her minion and learn from the best. And she's so deadpan and also kind of in a way like calculating in the way she's been doing it for the last couple of weeks. Just seeing this come up where Athena can even wreck her night without being there is lovely. Like, I love this storyline. This has been going on for almost 2 months now.
It's been beautiful.
Prior to that, I had no idea of anything with the storyline, but I really enjoyed just the video package itself. It got me vested into it. I was like, oh, I want to know more what's going on. And then they show up. She's got the list. And she pulls the banana out of the fanny pack. I was like, okay, this is a little bit goofy, but the right kind. I'm digging this. I want to know more about this story.
I love it so. And Lexi here is when Billy says she couldn't do the list. Lexi's like, you should probably do it because it's not going to go great. I was like, for who, Lexi? For Billy or for you?
Both of us.
Because that's the side thing is that Lexi is her bestie. Lexi's the thing. Athena's always like slapping her, like, right, bestie, right. So Lexi is fearing for her life because if Billy doesn't get it done, Lexi's going to get in trouble. It's so good. This storyline's amazing. Billy says she's going to protect Lexi, which I love. It's not going to happen, but it's so good. Oh my God. And this was a nice breakup in between stuff too. This was a promo that worked its way to keep us invested in the show, but didn't take away from what was coming up later in the night. Unlike some things on Dynamite we get, which is like promo. All right, I'm now tired and I don't know if I have any energy to start this match off well. This is a good break in between.
It was good. It was the first time on the card so far or on the show so far that I'd seen any kind of storytelling advancement, which is important to me as a fan.
So we move on from this wonderful promo and storyline to a walking HR violation because the head of talent relations was beating up another one of his employees, and Christopher Daniels taking on Action Andretti. Taking on Darius Martin with Action Andretti.
They're interchangeable because all three of them are part of the same entity. It's ridiculous.
The flippy dippy dudes.
They only just rotate who gets injured. Whose turn is it to be in the hospital now?
Oh, that's Dante right now. That was brutal.
Listen, listen. See that live ankle break on pay-per-view was a thing. So Jesse, I want to clarify. Like, we're not joking when we're calling Christopher Daniels a walking HR violation, because he literally, that is his actual job
I
description.
know, which is funny because I feel like on his placard in his office, it should have Christopher Daniels, the higher power, because that's what should have played out so many years ago.
Exactly. He's not just the fallen angel; he is the higher power. But I also was writing here because even like I'm jumping to the end quickly when he was in the corner, pissed off, but he was also like playing up like these are the guys, these are the future. I want to see a point where Christopher Daniels finally just loses it and goes on a full thing of like, I'm gonna beat you up and then fire you because I'm HR. Like in a kayfabe type of way where he's just basically like, yeah, I'm gonna take everyone down here and no one can stop me. Who are you gonna complain to? Who? File a complaint. Fire myself, which again is also funnier for most other folks here because Jesse has been an HR professional in the past, and currently I think you are one as well. Mm-hmm. So you know a little bit more about when I say walking HR violation, what he's running into.
If I could get away with some of the stuff that he did at work, it'd be a much happier workplace for me, at least.
Completely understandable. Yes. So this was Daniels, to me, took on a lot more of the energy from Darius Martin. Like, he hasn't been really mobile in the last couple of matches I've seen him in. So this was good that Martin worked around him in a really good way where he seemed very threatening for most of it. Like, this was a good back and forth.
It was a good back and forth. I was really kind of surprised at the ending, though, because usually you see those kind of counter roll, and it just leads to nothing every time. The fact that was the finish was like, oh, I was not expecting that at all. And I'm a Christopher Daniels fan. I've liked him since, early 2000s TNA. Always like when I see the Fallen Angel on my screen, and it hurt a little bit. It was a little emotional for me when he looked at the camera and said, "Maybe I'm the past." I was like, "Oh no, don't say that. No, I'm not ready for that yet."
Can I also talk about quickly the bulldog through the ropes? How dangerous that kind of move is, and how smooth that was when he pulled it off. That was like, my move of the night, by the way. That was my move of the night.
Agreed.
Any thoughts on that, Mikey, though? Like, are you enjoying seeing Christopher Daniels on your TV set week in, week out again on ROH?
Listen, I am happy in a world where both Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian are still wrestling on television weekly for me. So I'm never going to complain about that. And
never.
Christopher Daniels is, to me, is in the conversation of probably like the most consummate professional that you can possibly think of. He's been doing this forever, and he still got it.
Yes, he does. Yep. He does not no longer have the most prettiest moonsault in the world because that belongs to Miss Tiffany Stratton, but he definitely has the one of the most painful ones to watch, other than Lady Fire to Lady Frost.
I was gonna say we're gonna talk about that moonsault in a little bit.
Ooh, poor Willow. But first we have to go to, again, another small versus big man slappy match coming up here with Lee Johnson versus Shane Taylor. And again, you're splitting up Andretti Johnson and Martin into different things. They've got to do different things on this card. Why not stick him against the person that lost against Samoa Joe? That makes sense.
Are you being facetious here?
Yes, I am being facetious.
Because to me, I don't know if they were trying to highlight Shane Taylor. They certainly weren't highlighting Lee Johnson because it felt like a squash. And I would go, wait, Lee Johnson's a pretty established wrestler.
And got an entrance, too.
It felt like a very much a squash. Like he was getting nothing but some punches in, and that was it.
And this match served the purpose of what it was, because apparently we have a new member of Shane Taylor Productions. And this is where I mourn the loss of the tag team that is Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Because now, Big Bill is working with Ricky Starks. And now you have put Moriarty with Shane Taylor.
Yeah,
Big Bill.
We'll get to that promo.
You mean slightly taller William?
Damn it.
Slightly taller William.
As the professor and I talked about last night, he's the new folk hero from America that we didn't know we needed. Slightly tall William. He just stands there.
Related to Pecos William?
Yes, it kind of like Pecos William. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to reserve my rant because the way that Big Bill has been booked since arriving in AEW has he was taken more seriously when he was in Impact, and that's saying a lot.
It's saying a lot. Speaking of Impact, though, did everyone see the giant leg drop on the apron that looked like it blew up Moriarty's ribcage? Lee Johnson's ribcage when Shane Taylor came down.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like,
Shane is a big man, and that is a lot. When you throw gravity,
that is the first note I wrote.
Yes, kinetic energy at its finest.
And he didn't yell "my hole" afterwards.
gonna say he's the first note I wrote watching this match because I had no familiarity with him was like Shane Taylor is a big dude. That's just my first note here that I've got. And if you want to do something that's absolutely terrifying, the way they had the cameras set up and were on him from the corner as he's coming in to do the big splashes. I was watching it at 1.5 speed, so Shane Taylor going that fast directly at the camera, absolutely terrifying. I almost jumped out of my chair.
Oh God, 5 times speed is
no 1.5.
Oh, 1.5 times speed. Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
God. Can I also just point out here? I noticed kind of at the end of the match when the big moves were hitting, Lee Johnson has now started selling like vintage Jeff Hardy, which worries me for his body. Like he's flopping everywhere and like taking it really hard.
To me, it looked like he's selling like current Ricochet, which is a good thing, but that's not going to help your longevity.
No, it definitely isn't. But that definitely got me there. And then we set up Lee Moriarty joining the group as well. Lee Moriarty, who has been hanging around with the Workhorsemen for the last couple of weeks. So they're mixing and matching people again, trying to get into Grand Slam now.
Sure.
So we'll talk about the Workhorsemen.
Yes.
Still think Moriarty has my favorite entrance ever.
Well, I love his entrance music. It is so
Tiger
bizarre and fun. Tiger style, and he comes out in a tiger mask, and it's great. Will he keep that as being part of Shane Taylor Productions? Who knows? But we'll have to see coming up.
Maybe Shane Taylor will get the mask. Wouldn't that be good to see?
Oh, I don't know if I want to see Shane Taylor in that tiger mask. That'd be a little bizarre. Just with the.
My last comment about this match is the commentary when he did his package pile driver, which I had to look up because he calls it the Marcus Garvey driver.
Yep.
I swear I heard them say the Barbie driver, and I got like stupidly excited. It's like, that can't be it. So I had to look that up.
Yeah, that's the Marcus Garvey driver. But I can see that with you. It is not Knuff, unfortunately.
It is not. God, that movie was great. But I wanna pause here real quick because
okay.
So,
sorry.
As Jesse, you have probably heard on multiple occasions, with these reviews, me and JVL here, at least for me personally, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman are the best commentators of any television product currently out there, and I will die on that hill.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. The only way they get better is when they add Nigel McGuinness in, like they did for like 2 matches at all.
Gosh, that was beautiful.
But the both of them together, the reference level that they have, the knowledge. There was, I'm jumping ahead a little bit to the Josh Woods match. There was a back and forth where they were going move for move, and it sounded like you're watching a boxing match. And it was intense to get because a lot of these commentators don't dig into the moves as much. They're trying to give you all this backstory and storyline, and they can jump from storyline to like My Little Pony references to a weird like fact about a Japanese production that you've never seen before to anything else in the span of a moment. And they have such great chemistry. It's velvet to the ears, or so I feel.
Well, I look forward to that as I continue watching. I haven't had any issues. It was my hearing at the time. I'm certainly not blaming the announcers for that, but now I kind of want it to be the Barbie driver.
We'll send a letter. Everyone that's watching, send a petition to Shane Taylor to change the name of his Marcus Garvey driver to the Barbie driver. The synergy, the sponsorship deals. I mean, I feel like Shane Taylor Productions could deal with turning pink.
I just got an image in my head that he just comes out with a pink sweater wrapped around and dressing like a prep would be hilarious.
I thought he was going to have a hot pink singlet.
Like a la Bret Hart or
Owen.
True Owen. Or I was thinking the Survivor Series where he wore the pink one while the rest of them wore the black ones.
Okay.
But if he's doing that, Lee Moriarty's driving behind him in a little mini like Power Wheels Barbie dream car just to like fully sell it. Because he would.
Get Lee Moriarty in a pink tiger style mask.
Yes. Nailed it.
Got it. So
now coming to our merch store soon.
Exactly. But we actually should. Jesse, I know this is a shock for anyone that watches modern wrestling right now. I know that it must have thrown you off, even watching at 1.5 speed. There was a second women's match.
I was happy with that.
Yeah, we had more than one women's match and one women's storyline produced on the card.
We had at least, my memory is probably failing, but 2 women's matches and a women's promo. I am absolutely okay with that.
And this is on the low side for ROH. Normally we get what, Mikey, 4 or 5?
So if you count promos and matches weekly, we get 4 or 5. We get like 2 promo segments and sometimes 3 women's matches. In the rare occasion, I believe we had 4 one time.
Well, yeah, that's exciting.
So this was a little low on that thing, but we had a hell of a match on this one. When I figured out that Lady Frost was fighting Willow Nightingale in this, I had to pause what I was watching, stop all my other stuff that was going on because I was watching kind of half of writing stuff, and sit down and watch this through by itself. Then I took my notes in the second watch through because watching Willow work and watching Willow do the classic Hulk up spots, but in such a fun way where it's like Mad Willow is scary Willow, and going after someone who can sell and take those moves amazingly and then nearly kill her with her knees was intense.
Look,
what do you think, boys?
Mikey, why don't you go first? I feel like I've been doing too much talking.
You haven't.
Trust me, that's a good thing.
Moving on.
No, see, I have a bias because Willow is one of my favorite women's wrestlers right now. Not just in terms of character wise, because I love the big bubbly personality that she gives, but Homegirl is a phenomenal wrestler. And normally, when I tell people, be like, "Oh, this match is great." No, Willow versus Athena at Death Before Dishonor this past July. That is, as of right now, because we still have the rest of the year to go. That is my women's match of the year. And that's tough because at that point I put Charlotte and Rhea WrestleMania Night 1 in that top position. But Athena and Willow kind of bumped that down to number 2. So anytime Willow's in the ring, I always get excited. Also, listen, Lady Frost is also somebody who should be in talks of really phenomenal women's wrestling too, especially given the fact of she looks great, but she says in interviews like she started wrestling late in life, like 36, really 35, and she I love Lady Frost. She's phenomenal. This match ruled. I loved it. But there are a couple of points I was like, okay, all right, not the cleanest, but you know what?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mikey, at all.
I
have no idea what you could be mentioning.
You know what?
Well, maybe I'll go through and see if I picked up on that as well. First off, I loved the match. I love Lady Frost's look. She's, it's just got a great feel to it. The name Willow Nightingale. That's a killer name. And then the bubbly music starts playing. It's like that. I was not expecting that with a name like Willow Nightingale. I was expecting something like dark, mysterious, spooky, wooky, what have you. That is not what I got. So I was definitely a bit thrown through a loop there. I thought it was a really good match. I cringed a little bit when Frost did that big chop in the corner and looked at the crowd and went ice cold. Exactly. That's the appropriate response there. It just, I feel like she's supposed to say Hadouken before it. Like it messed with me. I liked the aggressive pace, especially considering in light of the previous match where it was just very much beat down, and couldn't get any momentum. So I liked how quick things were going. I liked how up tempo it was, especially with somebody who's built like Willow. You need to be quick like that. I thought the pounce she had coming out of the corner, Willow did, was a little strange. Like she hit her right in the middle and then she kind of just fell over. And for me, a pounce should be low and flip them over, or up high and send them flying, like especially if you hit them on the shoulder.
Whereas I would disagree with you on that one. I enjoyed it because since it was in the middle like that and much more brutal, as if it was almost a botch, that seemed to me, and that's how she's done it before. Like she doesn't have a lot of people that sell high for her. This is more of just her bodying you and like completely wrecking you. So I enjoy that.
Okay, and I can appreciate that argument there. The discus kick from Lady Frost, I thought was amazing, and then followed by that moonsault that turned into a shin to the face strike was definitely an interesting spot. I don't think it was planned that way. I'm glad Willow did not have her nose broken by that. But aside from that, I thought it was a very, very good match. That gut wrench sit out power bomb, especially from somebody like Willow, is amazing. The crowd was super into it, and Willow's just super over.
There's a reason that when Mercedes Moné got hurt in that match, she made the call on the fly to make Willow the NGPW Women's Champion right there on the spot. She is the future of women's wrestling in a lot of ways. She has definitely got so many years ahead of her to be even better and to really nuance this character from what it has been. I will agree with you on this one. Seeing that moonsault and thinking, wow, Io Sky has performed that cleaner. was really interesting to see because, and I love Io, but Io is like, you never know she's going to hit. Like, Lita's salt was a lot cleaner than that one. So,
still think Tiffany has the cleanest one, but that's a different conversation.
Well, Tiffany's is like Kurt Angle's. It's higher and does that way. So
Chad Gable, please. But
no arguments here.
Totally lost my train of thought there.
It's okay. But yeah, so overall, this was my match of the night. For all of its flaws and everything else, this is what I was excited to watch. This is the one that made me turn away to watch it. I don't know about either of you, but this was just a lot of fun for me to be there. It was great overall to watch. That was me.
I won't say it's my match of the night, but it's definitely one of the best matches on the card, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Again,
we'll move on to another promo here. But, what were you saying? So go ahead, Mikey.
The last thing I'll say about Willow versus Lady Frost is listen, the women's division in Ring of Honor is one of my favorites currently because all of them are getting used properly. I'm not going to complain about more Willow again, and Lady Frost is killing it. I mean, she faced Kiera Hogan not too long ago, and that match was a lot of fun too.
Oh, yeah.
But Willow is the star. I can't wait to see. I do hope Athena gets more challengers. It seems that we're building Billy at some point for it, which I won't be mad at. But again, give me Athena versus Willow round 3. I'm not going to complain.
No. They could. I think there's going to have to be a rubber match at this point. It's somewhere down the line at the next big pay-per-view. But I've liked with Athena where they're building up Billy more than just what they've been, which are the prove it matches and then one and dones. Billy has been the longest term one in her sphere that is lost to her, but might have another chance to go after her. So they're working really well with this. The other thing that you may not know is they have Maria Kanellis building an army on her side there that she talked about. She's got a couple of different wrestlers in that stable, including legit Layla Hirsch, who is basically a stone cold killer. So there are women's storylines permutating throughout the entirety of ROH, and they've called that out in a commentary that it's one of their focuses, which is another reason that Mike and I have enjoyed this. It's one of the few places now that I don't dock points for women's treatment in it when I give my ratings.
I mean, it just goes to show there's no need for an accountability corner in this promotion, at least.
There's no corners. It's a full circle.
Gosh dang it. Moving on.
6 sides of steel?
No, those have corners. I don't like those corners.
You don't like
moving on to... I know they're in some weird indie fed that people watch that I'm not sure about. Some people are really into this indie fed, and I'm just a little strange about it.
You know what, JVL? Okay, Jesse, so let me tell you about your friend here for a sec. Hot minute, real quick. First of all, JVL, as much as I love you, you can take one of these, and you can take one of these.
It's not going to scare me because the last time I made fun of this, lightning struck down here in my power.
The impact gods punished you enough. No, JVL and I go back and forth because he likes to poke fun at the fact that I stan Impact Wrestling so hard. I am a big Impact Wrestling fan, and I have also I said some blasphemous things, like I've said that Impact Women's Division is the best booked right now across all the brands, and I will fight anybody who disagrees.
I know that Impact's good. I just like giving Mikey shit.
You also give me shit about WCW too.
That's been gone for a lot of years. Yeah, but and I watch AEW now, which is basically WCW point 2. So
gosh, we bring in wrestling fans together, just like Shane Taylor brought in Leah Moriarty together.
Transition.
Wow. Nice segue.
He did that. He has now brought something back from the dead. Without the Gates of Agony there, he is now resetting his Shane Taylor Productions. He brings in Lee Moriarty to talk about this with Lexi backstage. And honestly, not the worst promo. He's had 2 good promos, 2 back-to-back.
You see, I'm going to have to go with your judgment and experience on that because I thought it was just very strange. What a strange way to introduce somebody. They come out to your match and just stand there and then, they're with me now. And it wasn't so much a promo as him yelling at everybody.
Which is what Shane Taylor does on the mic.
So, I don't know. I just thought it was very strange. I thought there was, if they really wanted to make this a big thing of Lee Moriarty joining Shane Taylor Productions, find a better way to introduce him than have him just stand there and watch you wrestle.
Were you intrigued to find out why he was there?
No.
Okay, then never mind that.
I was like, okay, this guy's just here, and because another human is by the ring, the other wrestlers are going to get distracted, and we're going to have a nonsense finish.
Yeah, exactly. It's called wrestling.
I don't know if I like this anymore.
Well, that's okay, because we didn't have to like this. It was a short promo. We didn't have to like it at all. Let's see where this goes, because then we move on to one of Mikey and my favorite ROH wrestlers.
My
Not
man.
my favorite overall. Oh, Mikey wants to basically become one with Josh Woods, the technical beast, who took on Dominic Giovanni. I think it's Giovanni or Gianni.
Guarini.
It's
Guarini.
Guarini.
Yeah.
I can't read my chicken straight. Dominic Guarini, who, by the way, really good judo master. Like, he was amazing with the grappling. That was so good.
I was very impressed with Dominic Guarini.
Josh Woods has been a former Pure Rules champion. So in ROH, they have the Pure Rules Championship, which is more mat-based, has a lot more rules, including only 3 rope breaks, and there's no striking with closed fists. There's a lot of like stuff like that, which Josh is kind of tuned into. It's very much a technical mat wrestling based type of thing, which is where Shibata is the champion right now. Josh has been on a tear right now because he lost to Shibata in a match to his own moves, and now he's trying to reclaim himself because he had gone too far down the road of being sports entertainer. So this is his like comeback revenge tour to prove why he's a technical beast, and also to show Mikey his ass, because Mikey just continues to watch his ass bobble in those shorts.
Listen,
couldn't get past his teeth.
The mouth guard or the teeth itself?
Does he have filed down teeth? He looks like
no, that's part of his
Robert
mouth
De Niro.
guard. He puts in a mouth guard and it's like painted very
Filed
beautifully to make it look like he has pointed teeth.
It was very convincing because
Yes.
he came out like, what is wrong with him?
He's the technical beast.
I was impressed by the match. I liked the amount of mirroring. Usually it can be overdone in a lot of, they were overly produced. But I think they were just very well paired in that. The mirroring was great, showed a lot of technical prowess there. And that it just seemed like Josh got fed up, was like, okay, I'm going to throw you 3 times and that's going to be it for the match.
Well, and then he puts on, which is now they're calling the Tilt-A-Woods, which is the Anarchy Suplex. That's the finisher he had, which into the corner. Riccaboni called it the Tilt-A-Woods.
The Tilt-A-Woods, okay.
Which is hysterical. I did love when they were calling strike and reversal, and then Caprice goes, Riccaboni, breathe. Take a second, let the match go, which was so great there. And then the mirroring thing, my favorite of that was the gut wrench reversals where they kept flipping each other over.
Yeah.
That was insane.
It honestly looked like fun.
It did. Josh Woods is brutal, usually fun, but yes, the Anarchy Suplex has been renamed the Tilt-A-Woods.
The Tilt-A-Woods.
So Josh Woods ends up beating him in a little bit there, but honestly, this was such a fun match to watch and to see, and I was not bored anywhere through it, which some people can talk about mat chain wrestling where you can get bored watching it overall. When it's done in the style that a lot of people do it with now, where it's kind of like, we're going to do this, we're showcasing this is chain wrestling versus doing it for the fact of this is how I fight. That's where I get sick of chain wrestling, is where it's showy versus practical. And this is more practical.
This was much more practical too, because they were trying to see who's going to get the upper hand here. So it made sense in the confines of this match.
Mikey, talk about your crush.
Listen, Josh Woods, if you ever watch this. No. Listen, if you haven't noticed by now the name of this YouTube channel, I mean, hello. Come on.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir, ma'am, and also non-binary folks out there. Listen, I'm not going to lie. Josh Woods is nice to look at. But more importantly than that, I love, since that he has lost to Shibata, that he has been on this tear, as JBL, you mentioned. But I've always liked Josh's Woods' style, even, I guess, pre-Tony Khan acquiring Ring of Honor, like when they started showcasing it out. Like, my first introduction to how good Josh was Supercard of Honor 2022. So, like, pre-Tony Khan buying the company. And he had a phenomenal match against Wheeler Yuta, which, oh my God, that match was beautiful.
Oh, weaker Yuta. Either way, this was a close second to my match of the night. I really enjoyed watching it. It's a definite change of pace than you see on most wrestling shows. So if I recommend Ring of Honor to anybody, I always say watch the Pure Rules matches, watch Josh Woods, see what's different about it and why you'd be invested in something where you don't have to have somebody promo it out, which is great.
I enjoyed it because it felt different than all of the other matches.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point.
And we move on from a Pure Rules technical match to the Sports Entertainer storyline match of the night, with Griff Garrison taking on a little bit of ego Ethan Page, slight ego Ethan Page, because he's not all ego anymore. Even his butt can't really say all ego.
Yeah, I mean, it did say all ego, but I don't think you can truly get rid of the ego from Ethan Page. I love the little dimple smile that he does. It's so stupid. I love it so much.
Did anyone else catch Griff Garrison though, like looking up the ramp, looking for Maria to be out there before they had her come out? It was kind of like taking me out of that after like 2 or 3 moves.
The subtext that is the storyline that involves Griff, Maria, and Cole is the weirdest thing that I watch a lot of WWE. Yeah, I watch a lot of WWE, and even for me, I was like, this is weirder than that, and that is saying something.
Yeah, this is
that's rarefied air there.
I think I mentioned this in like 1 or 2 weeks ago. This is like, wow, this would have flown in the Vince Russo days, and that's about it. And how much?
Stop.
I'm not saying the Vince Russo WCW.
Stop saying his name, bro. I can't stand it.
The VR, the virtual reality, the virtual reality days.
The person thou shalt not be named up in this wrestling piece
Jim
because
Cornette?
Jeff. Listen, we cannot speak their names because it's like Beetlejuice. You say their name 3 times and then things are going to go awry.
But yeah, so I mean, Garrison's looking for Maria. Maria and Creator Wrestler 7 show up on the ramp at that point. And Creator Wrestler is going out there in a very weird t-shirt. He's kind of jumping around. I think the animation style was off. Whoever designed this guy basically picked random and then put on a really offensive t-shirt, and that's his edgelord character.
I
guess.
Notice that his shoulder was clipping through his shirt.
A little bit, yeah. The hair wasn't working as much for me either. It's kind of static.
What have we reduced Griff Garrison to?
Is Griff Garrison going to be joining Maria, and then we're going to have the Varsity Brunettes? Like, what's going on here?
Or are we going to have Ethan Page join and have the Varsity Brunettes?
See, I would like Ethan to stay away from Cole Carter as much as possible, if I'm being completely honest.
I'd like everyone to stay away from Cole Carter because he's a complete vacuum for any talent.
Maria's trying her best.
Saying is you should book him with Karrion Kross.
He apparently, yes, one for Karrion. Oh, no, sorry. No, Karrion Kross actually got a really fun finisher this week, so I think he's a little bit out of there now.
The final prayer.
Exactly.
I like it. I do, and I really hope he can get the pump handle over.
But Cole Carter was in a tag team, apparently. From what I read back on that stuff, he had been in a tag team with somebody else on the card. Both of them had those black tights and just were generic, wrestler number 4.
Creator Wrestler.
And some reason he's being picked out as like the one to go here. And he has no personality. He's playing a petulant child, and there's a weird incest storyline running through this thing. It's just very strange.
Again, the subtext to the storyline makes me feel uncomfortable, and I've watched a lot of wrestling. So that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it is. To get back to the match, Ethan Page. I live in Vermont.
Back from the dead.
Yes, pretty much. The Revolutionary War hero, Ethan Page. Ethan Page went for the Ego's Edge, which I love that he didn't pull off because that's showing his like move away from that. He moves like Shawn Spears. Like he reminds me of Ty Dillinger, Shawn Spears, in that kind of like jerky type of way, and I feel like he either needs to lean into that or not, because he seemed to be like Garrison was bumping for him pretty nicely. Garrison, I want to go far but couldn't. But in general, this was just kind of like, it wasn't a showcase for either of them. It was getting over Maria being at the top of the ramp and who would deal with her first.
There were a few small highlights in the match though, like that discus forearm that he threw was amazing. And I was really impressed by the slingshot cutter that Ethan Page pulled off.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Alan Page. Alan Parsons.
Alan?
Alan Wake?
All in the Family.
No, you can't say that with this storyline, JBL. Stop.
Yeah, meathead.
I'm not Cole Carter. I'm not a meathead.
Gosh.
Either way, Garrison ends up eating the pin. Ethan Page gets the win, and there's a bit of a stare down, and Maria's kind of like looking at both guys going, okay, which we'll deal with later in the night. But I liked that it did further a storyline in this. It didn't need Cole Carter. This whole thing hasn't needed Cole Carter since the beginning. I don't know why Maria's allowing herself to be part of this since she's booking half her stuff anyways. So I want Mike Bennett to come back and like basically kill Cole Carter.
Listen,
so that we don't have to deal with them anymore.
Both of the Canellises are kind of involved in their own black hole of a, storyline. Oh, see,
Jesse's like, what?
I don't get that reference.
We'll talk afterwards because
watch the Dynamite review.
Oh gosh, I have thoughts and feelings, but we'll discuss offline.
About the review?
Well, about my thoughts, because I hate this. I hate this for Roderick. I hate this for the Kingdom. Again, we'll talk about this offline because I want to focus. I want to focus on the happiness that Ring of Honor brings me. Well, I would say that, but at least
But
in
we have the next match.
well, the next match, 3 out of the 4 people.
3 out of the 4. 3 out of the 4 are amazing. And then you have Anthony Henry, who is basically like Josh Woods with no personality and really can't work.
And allegedly
I
may or
loved
may not.
this match. This was my favorite match on the night.
Ooh, okay. You know what?
Okay,
I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
I'm not being facetious.
I want to hear
here
this.
at all.
I don't disagree with you, Jesse, but I want to hear you first.
Okay, well, the first thing was I got a real big giggle out of the boys coming out because one of them hopped across and was saying, "We the best tag team. You know, we the best tag team," while the record is reflecting showing 0-5. So that made me laugh.
I need to introduce you to Dalton Castle, who runs the boys, because then you'll even have more fun with this. But that makes sense.
Dalton Castle is the physical embodiment of homoerotic tension. Like, I kid you not.
He is Morgan's favorite wrestler right now. As she said to Mikey on this, Dalton Castle is the coolest.
Is that why you keep telling me to watch Dalton Castle?
Yes. But go on. I want to hear why this match was your favorite.
I liked the pacing. There was an awesome. I don't know all of their names. I know JD Drake because he has no reason being that fluid or that good.
You mean son of Boss Man?
Is he?
No, he's not. But he looks like he is.
No,
shocked me though.
This is the first time I've seen him in trunks lately too, because usually he's in pants.
So, oh Jesus, I gotta check my notes here. So the slingshot form was amazing. The noise before Drake did the twisting splash was hilarious. It was almost to the same level of the scream before the barricade blast. And JD Drake's tope, like his tope coming over the top. Who saw that come? Well, maybe the two of you did, but I certainly didn't. And that was excellent.
And we still get surprised from it.
We do. He should not be able to do that.
No.
So to set this up, Mikey and I love JD Drake. We think he is amazing. And it's a sad thing that he's always in these, horrible handicap matches because his teammate is utter dog shit.
What's his teammate's name?
Exactly.
He did have a spot I liked where he slid to block, I think, the tag. Like he just slid right in front of him and laid down in front of him. Okay. That made me smile.
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. So he slid. He did. It was amazing to see the baseball slide. He didn't commit to it. He sort of like posed as if he was like, haha, but he didn't do that. And he didn't block.
It looked like he did to me.
No, it looked like to me like he had like slid in. He started to, but then he realized like, oh, I don't feel comfortable going that far with it. And so I'm not gonna, which is Anthony Henry to a T. It's you have amazing offense you can do. You don't commit to fully doing it. And it makes me angry to watch him because JD Drake is basically carrying him around and making them have a good record because JD Drake is amazing and Anthony Henry is Cole Carter but with a name.
Better name than that at least.
Somewhat.
The finish though, super impressive. That whole lineup they did, that whole sequence of move was incredibly impressive, and I thought the right people won in that match. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun match.
The boys should lose. The boys should always lose.
The best tag team is 0-5.
Well, and also, I know I'm going to say this before you get on here, Mikey. I don't know whether one of them is born again or recently been baptized because he was going on about like Jesus saves, Jesus does this, which is, it hit me a little weird in the context of what it is, because if you believe that, great, that's awesome on you. If it's part of your character that you're going to say that stuff, that's awesome. You're backing up one of the most homoerotic wrestlers in the game.
I love it.
And you're spouting stuff like someone who doesn't think he should exist. And that kind of just like, I was a little.
It doesn't feel good.
Didn't feel good at all, and I could not root for them at that point. I'm like, okay, you're not comfortable with the fact that you're one of the boys, and you're not comfortable with the fact that this has gotten you on TV. So you're trying to overcompensate by doing this way. But I could just be using my experience with this, which could be sad.
Yeah, okay, so we'd like to get personal on these things real quickly. So JBL knows this. I have told him on this on numerous occasions, but I consider myself a religious person. I am a devout Christian / Catholic. I mean, it's the same thing, just one is more brutal than the other. But
a lot more guilt.
I mean, yes, listen. I'm a Catholic. I can say these horrible things too, and people need to understand the Catholic Church did some fucked up shit and continues to still do fucked up shit. And I can say
We're so
that
getting demonetized for this.
Listen, we're an hour in. We're past the mark.
We'll cut this part.
I mean, we like to be authentic. It's fine. No, but in all seriousness, I am going to wait because yes, I totally get where you're coming from, JVL. It also kind of made me feel, and I'm a religious person. I'm even like, I don't want, and I have to word this carefully because it makes it seem like I want something really crazy to happen when I don't. But I'm going to wait and see if more crazy shit goes down and things actually. And listen, it made me uncomfortable. But if things go and take like a dramatic left out of nowhere, then we're gonna have to have this conversation. But I'm holding off on it. I don't want to wait for worst case scenario. But yeah, even then I was like, ugh. I'm like, come on. I was like, it's great. Like the boys are great. Dalton Castle's great. Don't do this to me.
Don't spoil this.
don't spoil it. But
oh man,
my thoughts on this
sorry
match.
to put it that way. That was weird.
It's fun. JD Drake again, amazing. The boys should lose, as they always should.
Yes.
Again, I love the best tag team in the world, 0-5.
Well, because they're not being used as weapons by the person that actually brings them down to the ring. So,
also, I just want to say the Shining Wizard from JD was beautiful. I love me a Shining Wizard.
I love a big guy that is that agile. That's what ROH has, is like a whole stock of big guys that are agile and fluid, and it looks effortless. It's amazing to watch.
It's a beautiful thing.
I was beyond impressed with JD Drake. Although I do have one gripe.
Sure.
The workhorseman is a bit of a mouthful to say. We need to be a little more concise on the tag.
It should just be JD Drake.
No, the name, not the content.
I'm saying they don't need to have a name for the tag team. It should be JD Drake and partner.
Jesse, I'm gonna fill you in on the secret. There's no winning this one. There's no winning this one with him. Of all the hard stances that JVL gives when it comes to professional wrestling, this is one of the hardest ones to get him to move on, and I have come to accept that.
This is why if I ever go to an AEW show, I cannot be in the building for ROH sometimes, because if Anthony Henry's there, I'm going to get killed. Because he can kill me. I know he'll completely murder me.
Remind me to tell the story.
But no, he might not commit to it.
Exactly, which would be worse. I'll be maimed. I'll be maimed. That'll be worse. I'll be in a bed somewhere.
Off camera, I'll tell you a story how we almost got killed at NXT Stand and Deliver this past year, but you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got to do that. Anyhow, so we go from Jesse's match that he really enjoyed, and the match that was pretty darn good,
to my opinion, the worst moment of the night.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Moms. I heard Hot Moms.
We listen again. There's just certain.
What's his name? Creative Wrestler 4 again?
Creative Wrestler 7. He's 7.
He needs to come down to Weird Al's tacky, because that's all his character perceived to be is. He's just tacky and classless.
Which, again, why Maria is allowing herself to be part of that storyline. And this was also a pickup from 2 weeks ago. He was asking her to come out to the ring with him and like be there with him. And she's like, I can't. I got to deal with other stuff. I got to call my kids right now. And she brought up that she has kids. And he was like all into that. It's been really this has been a that guy that I'm not going to mention on a pole match type of guy putting this together.
I wonder how Judy's doing.
Judy is at least not that high up anymore. Anyhow, Griff Garrison gets interrupted by Maria and Cole Carter because Maria was scouting Griff Garrison and she thinks he has potential, saying this in front of Creator Wrestler 7, who she was bringing in for some. We don't know why he's here. Like, there's been nothing. He's got the Nick Wayne Puka shells now, this I Heart Hot Moms t-shirt, and that's he's that guy you knew in college who his personality was crazy t-shirts and nothing else. Oh crap, that was me. Never mind. That's bad. I'm just
JVL. If you tell me that you are a Puka shell necklace at some point, I may or may not have to have a serious conversation.
Never went that far. I did have the Caesar haircut in high school, the one where like you had the stupid gel and stuff like that, but never did the Puka shells.
I was going to say, if you also tell me you wore crazy t-shirts, jeans, and flip-flops throughout your high school career, we also have to have a serious conversation.
No, I waited until I was an adult for that. Anyway, we had Griff Garrison come out. Those two come out, and Maria still needs to put together her army. What do we think? Ethan Page, Griff Garrison, both of them? Is she just collecting people and Cole Carter to be a part of this?
What have we reduced Griff Garrison to? Listen,
he's talented.
He's talented, but from getting an injury to his tag team partners allegedly reporting is in NXT right now. Julia Hart is off doing great things with the House of Black and her on the road dad, Brody King. And Griff Garrison.
Don't you mean the homeowners association when they dressed all in white?
I mean, that still baffled me that they dressed in all white. It was really, really weird. But Brody King is MVP in my book. He's a great person outside of the ring. In ring, love the character. Outside, outstanding human being. But Griff Garrison is getting the shaft here. From losing tag team partner to losing Julia to being stuck with that one guy in college who didn't know when to shut up when I was trying to.
Sorry.
I hate this for Griff. And I feel that Maria is only a part of this because I think she's trying to, I don't know, in order to get what she wants, whether it be backstage, on screen, whatever, she's paired up with this dude. Again, I'm wanting this black hole of a storyline and where her husband's in a black hole, the storyline to be over so that way we can move on and get back to the good stuff we had before these two got stuck in these stupid storylines, which was the Kingdom Wrecking House, and still should be tag team champions.
That should definitely be. Hopefully will be soon. As far as we can tell, they're the ones lined up to take it from the Brochachos, so let's hope that happens.
God, please.
At least I do. I would say on this also, if you stuck Austin Theory in Cole Carter's place, this would be the same storyline. Like, that's where this is, where there's just no investment in this idiot.
But
there's no X-Pac heat on this even.
But I would prefer Theory over Carter if I'm being honest. And that's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot.
Jesse's
searching his feelings. Hold on, I'm watching this.
He's going to tell me that I'm wrong.
It's bubbling. It's bubbling. What's going on here?
I just would prefer if this whole storyline didn't exist and I didn't have to watch the promo with the disgusting pearl necklace innuendo. Like, I'm good on that.
What writer in AEW had a thing for pearl necklaces this week between Ricky Starks breaking one and yelling, "You broke my pearl necklace" on Dynamite multiple times, and then this, and Maria straight face saying, "Oh, it's a pearl necklace. Look it up."
Listen.
Thankfully, the commentators are like, "No, you don't look that up. You don't."
Well, this is what gets me. This means they watch our podcast, because John and I made that exact same joke on the podcast review of Dynamite last night. And said, no, use DuckDuckGo, use incognito mode, use a VPN, sponsor as a VPN. So someone just basically was like, I need to dig into my bag of jokes from the 90s and or like, my edgy jokes from when I was in an improv class in Chicago in the early 2000s. Let's go with a pearl necklace joke in every place we can. I'm not speaking from experience here.
Sure.
Anything that reminds me of Russo is no thanks.
Don't say that name.
I don't think it counts if you say the last name. You have to say it together. Like, if you just said Juice 3 times, you wouldn't show up.
But I want Juice Robinson to show up.
Not that Juice.
Anyhow,
you got to add the rock hard in order for him to be summoned now. Summon the honeycomb monster that is Juice Robinson now.
Exactly, the honeycomb monster. I love it so much. We get to our final match of the night. We finally get there. This was a long night. And I was wondering how they were setting this up, going in with Tony Nese and AR Fox being our final match. I'm glad that this time, instead of Tony Nese not coming out, he didn't come out and say, "No, I'm blowing off my match to do group workout." He acknowledged he has a match and he's going to do workout first because he gets to be in the main event. So I'm glad that they're carrying that over. He's smart enough to know, I'm not going to get out of this. It's going to be a thing. But he runs down Cleveland and completely tears them apart like he's been doing in every other city. I'm sad I didn't hear the Waffle House chants for the third week in a row.
Waffle House.
It was cheap heat when he came out, but I loved it. Like my favorite part when he says, I know this is Cleveland, but we're still going to do our group workout, our group training. I can see through the blubber that you can do this.
This is classic what Nice has been doing. He is getting great heat that way, and he's so good at selling it. And going up against AR Fox, which I wrote this down, is this the punishment for not telling folks he couldn't go to
London.
All In? Because getting knocked down to ROH and beat up by Tony Nese?
I still thought this was a phenomenal match, and from beginning
It was.
and this is some hot takes, but this was my match of the night.
Whoa. Okay. Give me why. Give me why. Because you had JD Drake and ex-partner against the other people, and you had Willow Nightingale versus Lady Frost.
So here's the thing. So at least for me personally, yes, I think AR Fox was kind of dumb not to tell
AR
Tony.
Frog.
It's been a long day, but
that'll be next week's main event. AR Frog against Ethan Allen.
Oh my goodness. No, I do agree that it was kind of dumb on Fox's part to not tell Tony that he wasn't going to be able to make it to All In London. Whether this is a punishment or not, I'm never going to know unless the reports get, reported, just like the attendance numbers for All In. But we can talk ad nauseum about that. I was just like, what is happening, you guys? But to me, AR Fox fits better in Ring of Honor than he does on Dynamite, if I'm being
100%.
completely honest. And again, Tony Nese, one of my favorite heel characters going on right now in Ring of Honor. For me, this had a little bit of everything from, Tony Nese's powerness to AR Fox doing AR Fox spots.
The crazy inventive spots he does, yeah.
Yes.
It was Tony Atlas, right?
Tony Nese.
No, Tony Nese when he was in WWE, wasn't he Tony Atlas?
No, he was.
That was Jake Atlas, who we
was
also
Jake
don't
Atlas.
talk
He was a
about.
different person. We don't talk about him. And Tony Atlas was the partner of Rocky Johnson in the 70s.
He was Tony something. Okay. I can't remember.
He was still Tony Nese. He just was the total package Tony Nese.
That's Lex Luger.
It was him as well. He was on 205 Live as Tony Nese.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to throw us off there.
That's okay.
It's okay. You have now joined the ranks of Tangent Session with all of us on these things. I am so proud of you on your first night.
Me
you
too.
took us on a tangent that nobody had an idea about, where we had to remember a fact that none of us could do. Welcome to the team. He's officially in.
That was your test. You have passed. Congratulations. Now you're stuck with us.
Well, I did do 3 pages of notes, so I definitely studied.
He revised for this.
I love it.
Can I ask a question, Mikey? Can I ask a question? Has the stunner officially in ROH become a setup move like the DDT now?
I mean, yeah.
At least twice on this
in
one.
The night, and this one specifically in this match.
There were a couple of big highlights in the match, like some creative spots that I need to call out. First off was the very creative skin the cat into the drop kick. That was amazing. Tony Nese rolling through and then hitting that nasty European uppercut was awesome. The stunner to cutter was, again, interesting as the stunner is a setup move. I thought it was a little bit of an ugly stunner, but the cutter was really nice. And then that springboard flatliner that they did was...
I thought it was a springboard Spanish fly because they did a full flip on it.
Did they full flip?
I think
know
so.
That's what I had originally written down, but the announcers called it the springboard flatliner, so I don't want to...
I'll trust Riccaboni and I'll trust Caprice.
Honestly.
I don't know. I was impressed by all this. And honestly, this is not meant to sound anyway. I was very happy to see Tony Nese using a good and proper body scissors on somebody.
Yes,
That was really nice to see. It's very underrated. I know you were giving me shit about Bear Hug a few weeks ago, but that is another move that I think needs to be
expose him. Expose him.
Jesse is bringing up conversations that we have when we're watching. So to put the listeners in on this, Jesse and I are the two that sit together and watch the pay-per-views together, and Jesse's the funny one, and I'm the one there with the knowledge of past wrestling, is basically what it ends up being. You asked me a very nice question about what I thought about the Bear Hug and how it was underrated and should be brought back, and I said, fuck no. Because it is a wasted move on most people that doesn't go anywhere. It is a rest spot that doesn't help anybody, and I don't feel it's a worthwhile move, which I know you disagree with.
I do very strongly disagree with that, especially if you have big people who have like the very long reach who can really do it and apply some pressure to the ribs. That actually does hurt. Speaking from experience,
every time
it's better than a chin lock. It's better than a wrist lock. Kiss my ass if you think different. Are these one of those?
Bend on over, and I'll go right over. Because
Not
every
on
time
camera,
I see a bear
you
hug,
guys save that for later.
that's for the OnlyFans later. But no, every time I see one, I think of Giant Gonzalez, and I can't get past that.
Sorry, I blacked out for a second because the naked suit got in my head.
But either way, so this was your match of the night. You enjoyed this match as well. I enjoyed it too. It wasn't my match of the night, but it was definitely inventive, and it didn't go too long. For a nice main event, it took us right to the end. It was kind of brutal all the way through, and Air Fox getting that like last spot at the end, shot from the ropes. Also a really cool like visual to end on. I thought that this kind of wrapped up the night very nicely for what we needed.
I would agree. I was very happy with the match and how it ended.
Mikey?
Again, this is my match of the night. It has two of my current favorites in Ring of Honor in terms of the men's side, though it is an extensive list because there's a lot of great talent in
there really
Ring
is.
of Honor.
ROH has a glut of great talent in this, which makes this ending bit here a bit harder for us because, like I said at the top, I felt this was kind of a middle of the road ROH episode. I've seen better. I could show Jesse better later and at least show him a couple matches, but in general, I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I could give it more than that. So I want to hear your ratings of this show. Like, what did each of you think?
So overall, I thought it was a good show. And again, that's me coming in with not watching any Ring of Honor. You know, I've sit through a lot of WWE, a lot of WWF, a lot of Heat, a lot of Velocity. So I've seen good shows.
Shotgun Saturday night.
I've seen bad shows. Jacked. But I thought overall it was a good show. It was very entertaining. I thought there was definitely some strange spots that I already talked about, especially that Maria Kanellis promo thing. Could have done without that. Honestly, I thought two of the tag matches were better than the singles matches tonight, which I like to see because I really like tag wrestling, and I feel like nobody's really utilizing it very well or showcasing it very well. And I do need to say this. This is something I wrote down, and I have to talk about. With the Outrunners, Mercedes Martinez, the Gates of Agony, Shane Taylor, and Tony Nese all on one card in one show, that was a lot of unnecessary flexing on this show.
This was the flex show. Why didn't we have Colt Cabana back as flex?
Flex? My gosh.
What was it? Flex something or other. When he was in WWE, he was flex something. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was.
That's how memorable his run was in WWE.
Exactly. But that's great too. So out of 10 minis, because Minnie is one of our co-hosts and we use his head as one of our things here, how many minis would you give this tonight? Or you can do, apparently I've been introduced to the empanada scale as well.
So our other co-host, Luis, we rate the shows out of 5 empanadas.
And if you go back to the Dynamite review, you'll see I actually got very granular on how many empanadas I gave Dynamite last night. So please go back and see that.
So we're using the mini or the empanada scale?
You get to choose. This is what you're going to be rating it, or you could bring your own rating scale to this. How many bear hugs would you like to give it? This is what you get for being my friend and being in the room.
All right, until I can come up with my own rating system, I'm going to be borrowing one of yours. I give it 3 1/4 empanadas
out of 10.
You said 5.
I meant 10.
You said 5.
It is 5? Is it 5? I thought it was 10.
Like you said, 5.
So it's out of 5. And this is coming from Luis, who uses the scale of 5, JBL.
I'm completely confused.
So I'll give it 3 1/4 empanadas.
Yes. I will be using the empanada scale, and I will give it about 3 1/4 empanadas.
Ooh, a quarter. All right, if we're getting that granular here, I will also use this empanada scale that I used incorrectly before and thought it was 10 empanadas, but it's 5 empanadas.
Reparations.
Look at me. How hungry do you think I am?
Look at me, and I still knew it was 5.
Yeah, you have some more self-control. I will give it, so I won't knock it down here. I will give it 2 3/4 out of 5 because it could have been better, but it's not as bad as it could be. I feel like it's like 2, and then you were putting fork marks on the third one, and you got almost all the way around, but then you had to throw it in the fryer, and then a bunch of stuff leaked out.
Let me ask you, how many empanadas would it be if you took the 2 creative wrestlers away on the night?
3.5.
Fair.
basically I would get another fork to be able to do stuff. I would have lost it on the floor. The cat would have gotten to it, but I'd had another fork in the drawer. Right now, it's I didn't run the washing machine, so I had my one fork, my good empanada fork, and it only got me through 2 3/4.
You mean the dishwasher?
I mean, I don't.
Where the hell do you wash your clothes? Yep, Cascade.
Oh, I love this. Thank you. And Mikey's loving this too, that someone else is calling me out on my BS on this. It's so good. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an amazing first. I'm so happy you're here. This was so much fun to have you aboard for this review. Mikey, I mean, do you feel the same way on this? Should we keep him, basically?
I mean, he already passed the test. Jesse, you're stuck with us whether you like it or not.
It's true.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me along on this wonderful little show that we're doing here.
So, Bi-Conic Wrestling fans, thank you for joining us tonight for the ROH review. I know it's been a bit of a long one. It was a long episode as well, but we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and hear these opinions and kind of give us your own. Follow us on all the socials at BC WrestlePod on Instagram, on YouTube. We have videos every day reviewing every one of the wonderful shows that are out there and the not so wonderful shows as well. You can also find Mikey at Pop Culture Geek on all the socials. You can find me at the JV Lexicon. And Jesse, if you'd like to drop your socials, then you can. Otherwise, you don't have to. We can cut that.
I'm reasonably sure my Instagram and my Facebook are both just Jesse Ackery. If you see me on there and you want to chat, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk with you.
But in general, we want to have that conversation with you. Drop us a comment, like our videos, and remember, you're Bi-Conic. We're obviously Bi-Conic, fully Bi-Conic now. And we share a love of a very cool art form, and we're glad we can share it with you. And we'll see you in the next video.